Welcome to High Infidelity, the best cheating videos on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's get into the video.
My 24 male, wife 24 female, told me she might cheat on me if I don't give her enough time/attention once I finish nursing school and start working. Nursing is frequently exploited, according to a trustworthy source, in part because of the long hours they work and the little time they have to form personal relationships. I'm now enrolled in nursing school, and although I manage my schoolwork and personal life rather well, I don't spend nearly as much time with my mother as I would want, and I don't always sense her support in my endeavors. We have an issue when I have to go to school since it diverts my focus away from my wife. She expects my complete and undivided attention at all times, and she becomes irritated when I participate in activities that do not include her in some fashion. It is difficult to engage with her because she has illogical beliefs that have been ingrained in her by her parents, who do not believe she is responsible for anything she has done. Due to her previous relationships, she has poor self-esteem, which is visible in her continual monitoring of my phone and whereabouts as well as other similar behaviors as a result of those relationships. Throughout her life, she has struggled with low self-esteem. Her phone is never in my line of sight, and I have no reason to assume she is having an extramarital relationship with someone else. Also, she is easily enraged and loses her cool, which often results in disagreements with people and misunderstandings with her own feelings. However, despite the fact that things have significantly improved since we first met, perhaps due to the fact that I am a patient person, I was taken aback by one statement she made. I asked her if she was serious, and she simply replied, "Who knows, anything can happen, which is why I always advise you to give me time and attention." Despite the fact that our marriage has seen many ups and downs, I think we are doing better than ever, which made her reply perplexing. "You said something about a certain interpretation you want me to make of it. According to my assessment, the reasons for my decision to leave her exceed the reasons for my decision to stay with her. However, I really care for her and would like to put out the required effort to make it work rather than take the easy way out of the situation." Edit. The reaction to my article has been overwhelmingly positive, and I am appreciative for all of the ideas I have received. My understanding of what has to be done is well established. I am well aware that I have suffered more than anybody else. Nonetheless, it is very difficult for me. I am unsure of what it is that makes me feel so threatened. It is my biggest fear that I will begin to feel guilty for having abandoned her. I am scared of missing her and wishing for her return, and I am even more terrified of being alone myself. I don't want to hurt her or anybody else in her company, and no matter what she's done or said to me, I'd never want to do any harm to her or anyone else in her presence. The only thing that keeps me from achieving my goals is my own fear of failure. Despite the fact that I've had to end toxic relationships and move on in the past, it's still tough for me to do so now. Her advice wasn't very helpful, and she said some inappropriate things about my brother's death that I took personally, but I didn't want to be alone during those difficult days after my brother's death. So, what do you recommend I do next? He died, and I feel his passing has had a huge effect on me, and I don't want to be alone myself in this process. However, I'm at a loss on what to do next. We need marital therapy as well as individual counseling before I can declare that I have completed my obligations and declare our marriage over. That's the only thing I can think of that may be able to save our relationship. We are grateful to everyone who contributed their tales and suggestions. Believe it or not, I read them all and gain valuable insight from every single one of them. I'll take care of all that has to be done on your behalf. Story 2. My 28 male, wife 29 female, of 9 years, broke my heart and cheated on me, after all that I put up with and sacrificed for her. I'm absolutely and utterly shattered. I'm not sure if anybody will read this lengthy article, but I just need to get it off my chest since I'm absolutely broken and have no one to speak to. I haven't eaten anything in 3 days and haven't slept much. When my wife and I were both 18 years old, we met. I met and fell in love with a beautiful, generous, and kind person who was full of life and joy over the course of my life. We married soon after and had our first kid not long after that. I saw straight away that this free spirit kind of personality has a crisis when presented with duties, kids, houses, etc. When she was depressed, she would participate in escapism activities such as smoking, overeating, constantly speaking on her phone, and so on. As time passed, I grew less critical of her and more tolerant of her personality. I even started to gravitate toward her, sitting outside with her and watching her play on her phone, go out with her friends, and so on, until I ultimately became her friend. My wife would tell me every day how great I was, how she was passionately in love with me, and how, even after 8 to 9 years of marriage, she would still display both emotional and physical confirmation of her affections for me, including weird physical ones, like sniffing my body odor and stuff like that. Overall, we had a beautiful marriage and a terrific home life. As a consequence, my wife has tried a variety of approaches throughout the years. She went to college for 4 years, very intensive ones, and dropped out after a year of working in the area. After that, she wanted to be a salesperson, then a nail tech, and finally an online business owner, and while doing all of that, she makes little to no money, is constantly on the phone or dealing with something, and is unable to contribute much around the house due to her busy schedule. My readiness to accept it all was driven by a desire to see that the partner I had selected could complete and follow his dreams. I didn't want her to live a life of regrets, so I worked extra hard, sometimes 4 jobs at once, to guarantee that she could do it all. Nothing, not even a bachelor's degree or specific certification. I attempted a BSc in computer science but dropped out after 6 months since it was too demanding for her company. It was either her or me, and I chose her. I believe she had a personal crisis after the demise of her last firm and the celebration of her 30th birthday, which I was entirely unaware of until we had a disagreement 4 weeks ago. During that battle, she exaggerated everything. She wouldn't come home, and when she did, she would sleep in the coach, yell at me when I spoke to her, and so on. She blamed everything on our relationship, telling me how I didn't let her do all she wanted while she was doing it, and how she still had to fulfill certain duties as a consequence of our connection. Yay, the audacity. We went to therapy, and after 2 weeks of her emotionally torturing me, she opened up about some of the things that had hurt her in the relationship, and I thought about it and promised myself that I would change for her, which I did, and I'm still working on those things every day. We're still going to treatment. She became more open to me after my transformation, but I had a peculiar sensation that something wasn't quite right. As a 30th birthday gift, she proposed that I sleep with other girls if I so desired, something she would never have consented to in prior years. I got concerned because there was this one man who worked for her delivery firm with whom I observed her often conversing on the phone and over text messages, and I became anxious. When I pressed her on it, she responded in kind, "Is he the one? There's nothing, yet it's so hot that you wish you were there." She eventually approached me and said that she respects and loves me as a person, as the father of her children, and so on. She couldn't understand why she couldn't love me again as a partner. What is that nonsense? When a relationship ends, the emotions one has for the other person do not just go away. When she told her buddy how much she loved me, it confirmed my suspicions. I snooped around her phone and found she had erased all of her communications with that person. She was behaving secretly, she was visiting his house, and even though I don't think they slept, I don't care since I feel emotional infidelity is going on. That person visited my home, engaged with my child, and shook my hand, among other things. I want to stomp on his skull, but I'm holding back because the kids need my help. I told her she could F herself and leave me alone yesterday, after being on the point of breaking up with her, giving her space, allowing her to go out whenever she wants, and trying my hardest to be a better person. I'm finished, cheating is my limit, and she's beyond it. I'm finished. Discovering that you've been cheated on is still a dreadful feeling, and it may drastically harm your self-esteem. Furthermore, we have 3 children who are fully depending on us. I'm constantly thinking about them, which is why I've done everything I can to save our marriage, but I'm afraid there's nothing I can do anymore. I feel she emotionally assaulted me to the point that I will never trust another woman again.